Alright, what's up everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about teams that are hot and teams that are not. I got 4 teams that have been hot, they've been doing really good recently, and 4 teams that have not been hot. They have not been doing really good recently. We're going to talk about both sides of the coin here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Yeah, links to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that in the description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So, kind of the concept or how we're going to do it is I'm going to talk about a team that's hot, talk about them for a while, then I'm going to talk about a team that's not. We're going to go rotate back and forth until we end it. Alright, so we'll start with the first team that is hot, and that has been the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're an obvious one, but I feel like we have to talk about them. I made a video about them the other day. If you missed that, you can go back and watch it, where I went a lot more in depth. But they have been smoking hot recently. They're currently on a 9-game win streak, the hottest win streak in the NBA currently. And specifically, they've won 17 of their last 18 games since 2024 started. They have only lost 2 games in 2024 so far. They have been absolutely outstanding. And they've had injuries. You know, I went a lot more in depth on this in the video I made, but Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, of course, missed a whole lot of time, and that's when they really started to hit their stride. Donovan Mitchell is playing one of the best players in the NBA. Throughout this stretch, he's averaging 28 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. He's shooting 47% from the field, 36% from 3. Jared Allen has been really good, averaging 15 and 10 with a block per game. Got so many other guys stepping up, guys like Karis LeVert, Max Juice, George Niang, Isaac Okoro has been playing great basketball. Sam Merrill's become one of the elite 3-point shooters in the league. Even Dean Wade is playing really good. Tristan Thompson has provided some stuff. Craig Porter Jr. when he does get in. Like, they have just been doing it as a team, you know. Shout out to JB Bickerstaff. He has really, you know, been coaching his butt off recently to get this Cavs team to where they're at. Right now, they currently have the second best defense in the NBA right now. Their defense, they've just been locking down different teams. Looking at some of the games they played, in their last 18 games, they've held a lot of opponents under 100 points. In the 17 of their last 18 that they've won, they have held opponents to under 107 of those 18 games, which is, of course, nowadays in the 2024 NBA, that is very hard to do, and they have done it a lot. They did it 4 games in a row. They held teams to under 100 points 4 games in a row at one point in mid-January. That is very hard to do. And not just any team. They held the Bucks to under 100, the Magic to under 100. The Hawks are one of the best teams offensively under 100. Like, they have been balling, you know. And, yeah, it's just crazy to see that this Cavs team, even though they're not fully healthy, you know, they were losing game. I mean, they came up and had this streak. And now, since Darius Garland and Evan Mobley have come back, they have not lost a game. So, yeah, and they have 2 games left before the All-Star break. They play Philly tonight, and then they play the Chicago Bulls. They could realistically go into All-Star break on an 11-game win streak and be hot. Right now, they are a top 3 team in the NBA in record-wise, which I don't know if anyone would have thought that after those 2 Boston games when Garland and Mobley went out. But shout out to the Cavaliers, man. They have really been balling. Next, I'm going to go to a team that has not been hot, and that is the Charlotte Hornets. Another one that's kind of an easy one, but I want to talk about it. They were on a 10-game losing streak before Saturday. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies, but they have not been good at all. In their last 32, they started off 7-13, which is not great to the season, you know. In their last 32 games, they are 4-28. They're 4-28 in their last 32 games, and in the year of 2024, and in the year of 2024, they are 4-18. They have been bad. They've had 2 separate losing streaks of 10 or more. They had an 11-game losing streak from mid-December to the start of 2024, and then they just were on a 10-game losing streak from the end of January to February until, again, Saturday. They ended their losing streak beating the Memphis Grizzlies, but they've been pretty bad. And the unfortunate thing is LaMelo Ball has not been able to play due to injuries. He's been in and out of the lineup so far in the 52 games the Hornets have played this season. LaMelo's only played in 22, so he's missed 30 games this season. Another injury-plagued season for them. They made a lot of moves, trading away Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, all that stuff. They've not been hot, you know. But I'm very excited to see the second half of the year Hornets. They still have Miles Bridges. Brandon Miller has been one of the best rookies this season. And they have some new guys that I'm very interested to see. Guys like Trey Mann. Vasilij Micic had a really good game in his first game. You know, Nick Smith Jr. has been playing pretty well. Nick Richards has been playing solid. So we'll see what those Hornets team do. But yeah, I'm not expecting this Hornets team to be really good. And then earlier today, Mitch Kupchak, which is their GM or president of basketball operations stepped down. He became a team advisor, so now they're going to be looking for a new president of basketball operations, new GM over there to make moves because, well, Mitch Kupchak, since he's been there, has not done great things. So, yeah, the Hornets, we're just going to see what happens now with their new they're looking to hire now. And, yeah, this team is pretty bad, but also it's a team we expect to be pretty bad. Going to another team that's hot, we're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are currently on a 4-game winning streak. They are now 30-23. They jumped up. Well, they're still 8th in the Western Conference because the Western Conference is pretty scary or pretty deep. But honestly, they're so close. They're only a half game behind the 5th seed. So the Mavericks win like another game or two in a row, they can jump up pretty high. But yeah, they've won 4 in a row. They started off the season really good. They had a really good start to the season. Then they kind of slowly came down. They've been dealing with injury problems the entirety of the season. And now they've won 4 in a row. They beat Philly in Philly. They beat the Nets in New York, the Knicks in New York. And then last night, or on Saturday, they blew out the Oklahoma City Thunder, putting up 146 points on them. Yeah, in their last 10, they're 6-4. They've been playing better basketball, though, recently. And now they just made the trade deadline acquisitions that played in that game against OKC, and they look really good. Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington. Gafford put up 19 and 9 off the bench. P.J. Washington had 14 points on 60% shooting. Those guys, I was really a big fan of those trades at the deadline. And then seeing them in the first game, it looked great. Daniel Gafford with Luka. You know, Luka loves centers like that could just, you know, he can just throw the ball up to, he can go get it. And Daniel Gafford does that, and he also does really good defensively. P.J. Washington, another guy that, you know, as a forward that can go get a bucket when he needs to, which is big. The Mavericks haven't really had that so far. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what this Mavericks team does going forward. They have a couple games left before the trade deadline. Before the All-Star break. I keep saying trade deadline for some reason. For the All-Star break, they play Washington tonight, and they play San Antonio. 2 teams they easily could beat. So they could go in to All-Star break on a 6-game winning streak, having some momentum. You know, playing good. Of course, Luka Doncic is playing amazing right now. He's averaging 34, 8, and 9 this season. Kyrie Irving is starting to get back into the lineup. He's averaging 25 points per game. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been one of the best 6 men. They have guys like Derrick Jones Jr., Josh Green is starting to play really well. Yeah, this Mavericks team is really good. And now adding the new acquisitions of Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington, I'm very excited to see what this Mavericks team really could turn into, but they've been hot recently. Going to a team that's not hot, we're going to the Houston Rockets. They're a team early in the season. They're kind of one of the big stories in the NBA just because they went from being one of the worst teams in basketball, or probably the worst team in basketball, to looking like a competitive team. They're in the playoff race in the West, like in the playoffs early on in the season. Their defense was amazing. Things were looking great for them. And recently they have not been. Right now they're currently on a 4-game losing streak, but overall they have not been great. In the year of in 2023, to start the year, they're 15-15 coming into 2024, and since 2024 started, they are 8-14. Specifically, they're 5-13 in their last 18 games. The youthfulness and stuff is starting to kind of hit on them. You know, we didn't expect this Rockets team to be in the playoffs for the entirety of the year, but they have fallen. They've currently fallen out of the play-in picture as well. They've dropped down to 12th in the Western Conference, which sucks, but I mean, it's still a successful year. Even if they don't make the play-in, it's still a successful year for Houston just because, I mean, they went from being a dumpster fire to now looking like an actual competent team that can win games. But yeah, the offense is kind of starting to slow back down. They are still a top 5 defense, but their offense is 23rd. Alper Sengun has missed a couple games recently, but he's been really good. Jalen Green is starting to put it together. He's averaging 18, 5, and 3 now, but as of recently, you know, he's been starting to put some games together and look actually pretty good. Looking at his last 10 games, he's averaging 23, 6, and 4, shooting 47% from the field. He had a triple-double. The other day, he's had a couple 30-point games. He's been starting to look really good. Fred VanVleet's also missed some games as of recently, so that's really been hurting the offense as well. Dylan Brooks missed some time, but Cam Whitmore's starting to come into his own. Man Thompson is starting to have some moments, so that's good. The young guys are starting to play better, but it's just, yeah, the offense is starting to slow down. The kind of the youthfulness of the team is starting to catch up to each other, catching up to themselves. You know, even though they're a great defense, they can stay in the games because of their defense. Their offense has not been great enough, you know, but again, still a great year for Houston. You know, not a lot of people expected them to come in and, you know, be an actual competent team this season as much as they did earlier in the season, but they have been struggling as of recently. Another team that's hot, we're going to the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are currently on a 4-game winning streak. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, and they're back up to 500 at 25-25. They've been struggling to about 500 to under 500-ish. They haven't been 500 since Christmas, and now they're back to 500. They've been playing some good basketball. Recently, they beat the Phoenix Suns in a great game on Saturday. They beat the Pacers, the Sixers, the Nets. They're on a road trip, and in this on that 5-game road trip, they went 4-1. Yeah, they've been playing good basketball recently, playing better, and that's a lot. Jonathan Kuminga is really starting to step up and play the best basketball of his career as of recently. Ever since that time when he got called out, he called out Steve Kerr. In his last 13 games, averaging 23, 6 and 2, shooting 58% from the field, 43% from 3. He has been vital in bringing this team back to life. Steph Curry, of course, has been Steph Curry. The last couple games, he's been hot. Andrew Wiggins is starting to slowly come back to himself. Brandon Pajemski has been a very impactful player for this Warriors team. And they're a team that at the trade deadline didn't make any moves, and people were like, why? But there's been reports in the past couple weeks saying that they want to keep this team together. They want to get Draymond back, want to get Chris Paul healthy, and, kind of take one more shot at it with this full lineup. And right now, they're looking better. Am I saying they're contenders or anything like that? Absolutely not, but they're back in the play-in race. They're back to 10th place in the Western Conference. They're back to 500. They're playing a little bit better basketball. The young guys, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Pajemski, are starting to step up a lot more. Steph Curry is starting to get his powers back as he was on a not great stretch recently. Andrew Wiggins is starting to play a little bit better. Draymond Green is back and contributing in a lot of ways. And yeah, this Warriors, Gary Payton II just came back as well, who's a big piece of that team. So the Warriors are starting to get back to being, competent, at least. They're not amazing yet, but they're starting to get back to competent. They're back to 500. They're back in the play-in race. And we'll see how this team goes the rest of the season. Going to another team that's not hot, we're going to the Milwaukee Bucks, one of the best teams in the league. They have not been great recently. Since Doc Rivers has become the head coach, they have gone 2-5. Had a couple blown leads. They lost to Denver in a blown lead, lost to Portland, lost to the Jazz in a big fourth quarter comeback, lost to the Suns, lost to the Timberwolves, got blown out by them. Their 2 wins are against Dallas and against the Charlotte Hornets. They have not been great since Doc Rivers has come in. And overall, since they fired Adrian Griffin, adding Doc Rivers and Joe Prunty's record, they are 4-7. Oh no, sorry, 4-6. 4-6 in their last 10 games. And that's with Prunty and Doc Rivers. Things have not been great. The defense, of course, has always been a struggle. They jumped a little bit up to 18th, but now the offense is starting to get a little bit different as well. A lot more pick and roll. And also, they had missed Dame for a couple games. Chris Middleton did get hurt the other day. Brook Lopez missed a game here, 1 or 2 games here and there as well. But still, they have just now looked amazing. And we've been saying this about the Bucks the entire season. They have not looked like the championship contending team we thought they were going to be. And now with Doc Rivers, things have not been great. Of course, 2-5 with Doc Rivers around. Not been great. How do we fix this? Just continuity. Obviously, it's very, very hard to just kind of integrate a coach halfway through the season, especially when you have the expectations that the Bucks have of kind of like championship. They want to win championships. They're not cool with playoff appearances. They're not satisfied with playoff appearances or second round of conference finals appearances anymore. Like the Bucks, they won one a couple years ago. Now it's like, all right, we got to win another one now, and that's what this team is here to do. And to integrate a new coach halfway into the season, with those expectations and with Giannis and Dame and all that, it's very, very hard to do, And so far, it's been very hard for Doc Rivers to come in and make these adjustments and kind of right the ship. They do have 3 games left before the All-Star break. They play Denver again, they play Miami, and then they play in Memphis. So maybe all they need is the All-Star break, to kind of give them kind of a week, almost a week, to kind of just all right, reset, come into the second half of the season, and let's ball out, But, yeah, and it also doesn't help that they have one of the tougher schedules left in the NBA. So, yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for Milwaukee the rest of the season. They have not been hot recently, and we'll see if Doc Rivers can, right the ship. The last team I want to talk about that's hot is the LA Lakers. The Lakers have won 4 of their last 5 games. Overall, they are 6-3 in their last 9. They're back up to over 500, 2 games over 500, which, the most they've been over 500 since December. But it's about Christmas time. 2024 has not been great to them, but they're really starting to put it together. They had a couple good wins. They beat the Boston Celtics without LeBron and AD. Then they beat the Knicks in New York. They beat the Pelicans, blew them out the other day. They had that double overtime thriller against the Warriors. That's been game of the year. They're starting to come back together. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, of course, have been playing great basketball, but now D'Angelo Russell in the last month and a half has been playing some of his best basketball. Austin Reeves is starting to come back. You know, they have just been playing really good. You know, their defense is starting to kind of look like it used to be. They're back up to 14th in the defense. Their offense is still a little questionable, but, you know, the other day against the Pelicans, they had 5 players scoring up in 20 or more points. That's the first time that's happened in a little while for them. They've been playing pretty good recently. You know, AD, of course, AD and LeBron kind of leading the ship, but really they just need the others. They need the others to step up and play good. And D'Angelo Russell has been the third guy. D'Angelo Russell has consistently been the third guy. Austin Reeves has his big moments. Then they get some contribution from guys like Torian Prince. One day it's Rui Hachimura. You know, one day it's Jared Vanderbilt on the defensive end. You know, they kind of have that thing going on right now. But right now, everybody is locked in. They're playing well. They didn't make any moves at the trade deadline, so kind of trusting in this team. And now they're back up to over 500, a couple games over 500. They're still ninth in the West, but they're not that far out from the 8th. It's going to take a little bit, you know, of other teams losing, but they're not that far out from getting to the 8, 7, and where you want to be if you're going to be in the play-in. But the Lakers have been playing better recently. You know, more energetic, more of the role players stepping up. Defense is starting to, you know, get a lot better, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the season. The last team I want to talk about that's not hot has been the Philadelphia 76ers. I made a whole video about Joel Embiid's injury and is the season over. You know, so if you want, you can go back and watch that video. But yeah, the Sixers have been really struggling recently. Of course, they had a big start to the season. They were one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, best teams in the league to start the season, of course. But as of recently, things have not been great. They are 2-8, or no, I'm sorry, yeah, 2-8 in their last 10 games. Since Joel Embiid had gone out against the Golden State Warriors, they are 2-5. They're on a 4-game losing streak. They did beat the Wizards the other night, so they got an easy one. But things have not been great recently. They've dropped all the way down to 5th in the Eastern Conference, and they're not far. They're honestly not that far out. They're only about 2.5 games out of the play-in spot. And the way they've been playing without Joel Embiid has not been great. Tyrese Maxey has kind of been the number one option, even though he hasn't played in every game as of recently, and he has not looked great. They've had a lot of injury problems. Guys like Tobias Harris, Nick Batum, all that stuff. They did make a couple trades at the trade deadline, getting Buddy Hield in, getting Cameron Payne in, and so far those guys have looked good since going there. But yeah, and the big question mark around this team is Joel Embiid. When he's going to come back, he's going to be reevaluated in a couple weeks, but that doesn't guarantee that he's going to be able to play this season. You know, it's just very tough. They do have 2 games before the All-Star break. They play in Cleveland tonight, and they play Miami. So really struggling. And then coming out of All-Star break, they play the Knicks, the Cavs, the Bucks, and the Celtics back to back to back to back. So they're going through a gauntlet. They're about to go through a gauntlet right now. These next 6 games are about to be a gauntlet of top Eastern Conference teams. And we're going to see how they fare, you know, without Joel Embiid, without their superstar MVP player. It's just been really tough, you know, with the Joel Embiid injury. It's just really unfortunate because he was running away with the MVP this season. And, yeah, just having this team now without Joel, just kind of showing what this team, the role players are, it's just, you know, it hasn't looked good on either end. You know, defensively they've had some moments. Offensively they have a moment here and there. But it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad without Philly. I'm very worried to see, you know, what's going to happen the rest of the season when Joel doesn't play. You know, or how much they're going to fall. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content on here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications to also like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.